And like they say, each day is still new learnings to be done. And that's one thing. So even after taking PhD or masters or something, I never stopped learning, because like I said, we need to come up with a franchisee model on how this will go to different countries, and how does each country accept this, and what is the Apple share in that country. So there's still a lot to learn. You assume you've learned everything and you know everything, but then one day you realize you don't know anything. There's still a lot to learn.
Welcome to another episode of Be Your Own Boss. Our guest this week is Dr. Sujith Menon, the founder of Accurate Consultancy, G-links International, Neostats. Dr. Sujith is a serial entrepreneur. As you can see, he has started several businesses. And before starting all these businesses, he has years of experience globally. He has worked in the US, he has worked in India, he has worked in Abu Dhabi, in Dubai. And after working for several years, he has he started as a freelancer and then transitioned into a complete entrepreneur, businessman, having started so many businesses. Let's hear from Dr. Sujith about his story, his journey. Dr. Sujith, thank you so much for taking our time and joining us here on the Be Your Own Boss podcast. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Sachin, for this warm welcome. It is my honor and privilege to be on Be Your Own Boss, and thank you for having me. Thank you, Sachin.
Great, Dr. Sujit. Let's get started with your story here. So let's start with the background. Tell us about your parents, your siblings, and where were you born. Let's start with that. With your story, please.
Oh, yes. That's a very passionate and personal story. So we hail from a small town in Kerala called Tiruvillamala. It's in the Thrissur district, as they call God's own country. So my father used to work with Air India. Then he moved on to Air Lanka, which then became Sri Lankan. So then he had his travel all across India. First he was in Mumbai, and then he became the general manager for Air Lanka in Muscat, where I did a bit of my schooling. And my sibling was with me, so she's now moved to the UK. She works for Pfizer. She's married, settled in Croydon in the UK. And I and my wife, we have been in Dubai for the last 15 years. So yeah, that's about me. She hails. Her name is Malati. She hails from Uruvayur, again from Kerala, but she's born and brought up in Chennai.
Okay, so going here one step back, your childhood mostly was in Kerala and also in other parts of India. You traveled, because your father was traveling and being in other parts of India, right?
Yes. So I was born and brought up in Kerala. Did my basic schooling in my hometown, and then yeah, since dad was traveling, so we moved to Mumbai for a very short period, and then he got this very good offer from Air Lanka, and I did my basic schooling, grade 4 till grade 12 in Muscat, and that's where I did my high school, and it was a CBSE based school. And then, like all Indians in that 90s to 2000, you had two choice, either medicine or engineering. So I was also PCMB, so not knowing what life would have in store for me. So initial choice was, gave all the entrance exam those days, which was very competitive, and I got into NIT Calicut. So in 95 I joined NIT Calicut. I came back to Kerala, and I already had very good seats in Trichy and in Surathkal, but then chose to do it in NIT Calicut because it was around 4 hours from home. And my grandmother was alone. My father had just moved from Air Lanka, had become Sri Lankan, so he moved from Muscat to Dubai. So Dubai was a new town for him. So sis and my sister and my mother were just getting adjusted to Dubai. So I decided to be close to my grandmother and uncle, which was around 4 hours drive. And I got computer science, what I wanted. So then that was good 4 years there. And then I worked for around 8 months with Wipro and another 8 months with ITC Infotech. So that was my
Mm.
initial schooling period and my beginning of my career.
So, Dr. Sujit, when you were in school and most of the part like schooling when you did in Muscat, with that kind of an environment where your dad was working for an airline, did you have aspirations back then that you want to grow up and become an entrepreneur, a businessman like you have become today? A
No, no,
business.
no. Entrepreneurial came by chance. My initial first few years, I wanted to work, but then always I had a passion to understand what would work for me and what would not work. So I am a kind of a person that likes a lot of creative and innovative things at work and would not like monotonous and repetitive jobs. And that is what really shook me the first few initial days of my career. Although the company were big, Wipro, and ITC Infotech, very big companies having large number of employee workforces. But when you have large number of employees, the allocation of work and the kind of work that gets done by you would not sometimes be very creative. And sometimes we used to work on the same projects for months. And what we did 3 months ago, the client would change ABC. And then we would tell him, no, no, don't do ABC. I think you should start with DEF. That would make a lot more sense to you. He says, no, no, just do DEF, and this is what we want at the moment. And then after 3 months, he would come back to ABC again. And we're like, this is what we told you, right? Although we are not in your line of business, but logically, when we stand outside as a customer, that makes sense to us. It was getting a lot of monotonous, a lot of repetitiveness. And that's when I decided, the engineering or the technical coding might not be the real issue. It is understanding the customers and there being the interface people between what the customer wants and what needs to be developed. There is a huge gap there. And that's when I decided to do my MBA, a Master in Business Administration. And I knew that it would be better having the sound good knowledge and having done the basic engineering degree and a good 2.5 years working for a good two corporates back home, being in front of the customer and understanding what he wants, and then telling him the pros and cons, giving him all the 3 or 4 solutions that are possible from that stage. Sometimes you need to think out of the box. I thought that would have been better, and that journey has led me to where I am here today.
Hmm. Yeah, actually, a lot of people, do MBA right after finishing their higher studies in, but I think right after finishing their degree or something. But like what you did after working for some time, when you do an MBA, it adds a lot of value, right? So, so after you were, once you were working with Wipro, and how long did you continue with Wipro, by the way?
So I started with IGC Infotech. That's where I got my campus placement, and we had 2 teams. One was a Java team, and one was a Microsoft team. So I got inducted into the Microsoft team, and that was the time .NET was starting. But as luck would have it, we didn't get to work on the latest technologies. We were working on the Visual Basic and the old project because they said first you learn it on maintenance and all that, and that went on for around 8 months. And that was almost getting end of '99, and by 2K, and you're from a premium college and you're still in Bangalore means you're no good, right? So immediately in those days, we had to look for choices, and that was Wipro. And Wipro at Madiwala were recruiting. They got a new client in Alcatel, then they got Lucent. So my first batch of friends who left us 2 3 months itself got into the Alcatel project, and they were doing good. And so I came into the second batch, which was Lucent, so which was also quite good. And as luck would have it, by beginning of 2000, yeah, we reached the US. So that was a very, very good client. So Lucent had a lot of requirement for the Y2K, and it was good programming experience there, and that took us to another journey in the US. And again was quite challenging because again it was a very, very big team. And then is when I realized that although you are good at business analyst, you need to basically have a degree to prove it amongst the wide ocean of candidates that are still eyeing for the same job. And the only way you could do that in those days was by having an MBA degree, and what better than getting it from the US. So during that period when the frustration already started, so I'd given in my GMAT, I'd given in my TOEFL, I had all the prerequisites in place. I planned to quit it and go from India itself, but as luck would have it, I saved one way air ticket, so I did it from the US. So that was the good part. But then yeah, it was a very, very good journey, and the degree was a good learning curve for me in my developing my management skills, because I came from an engineering background. So getting to the basics of management was quite good for me.
So when you did your MBA, did you complete? Was it like a full-time MBA? You quit your job and completely did MBA?
Yes, yes. So that basically required a quite bit of effort. and you had to change your visa status and all that. So I came back on the student visa, and then as life would have it, that's a total different journey. So at the university, I got a job in the library. I was working as a teaching assistant. I did a lot of support stuff in education, and you could say that is in a way where my education career really started.
So you did your MBA, full-time MBA in the US, and then you worked for some time in the US, right? And then when did you decide to move to Dubai? How did Dubai happen?
Oh yeah, that was our luck or destiny would have had it. Things were going good. The MBA was a very very good learning curve, and I did not want to go back to India from where it started. And my family was already based in Dubai, so I felt Dubai as to be the stepping stone. And another thing happened very coincidentally. So there was this university which was looking for an MIS head who was into IT and knew a bit of programming and to take care of their systems, and that was on Oracle Financials. And they had come down to US. So that's when the project came, and I was the fourth employee there. So they wanted to recruit the IT person right in the beginning so that the MIS systems and things would fall in place. That just happened coincidentally that you had to, when one door closes, the other door opens, right? So that happened almost at the same time, and then was the right choice. Although Abu Dhabi was 1 hour drive from Dubai, I said that's fine. So I took up that opportunity, and as destiny would have had it, it was a complete 180-degree change from what IT projects and working for different clients to working for a dedicated client and delivering projects there. So this was a total paradigm shift. But then, as the thing would have had it, 20 years in education and no regrets.
Mm. So then that's your entry into the education sector actually when you joined Abu Dhabi University, and that's where your education journey or your journey in the education sector started here, right? So after working for Abu Dhabi University, what was your next step then? After that, what did you do?
Yeah, Abu Dhabi University was a very, very big learning curve in the sense that they had no budgetary constraints. They wanted the best of systems. So I think in the first few years was setting up their registration system, their financial system, their HR system. They got their admin system really well done in place. Good consultants. I think on the software front it was Microsoft. On the ERP front it was Oracle. All the best technologies and working with industry partners was a good learning curve. At somewhere down the road, I think our whole team as IT, we got into a kind of discussion to say, are we really addressing and the educational needs of our customers? Because our customers are students, right? Are we really taking care of our customers and students? And are we focusing a little too much on these administrative tasks, which anyway we would have to do? It is no matter what, when a student comes to pay, whether it's Tally or Oracle, the customer doesn't know that, right? For him, it's the classes. If he misses classes, and for us, what happens in some points was that we had classes across Alain and Abu Dhabi. And sometimes, because of low number of enrollments, faculty were finding it very difficult to travel between. And they too were around 100, kilometers away. So we came in with a lot of interesting initiatives like video conferencing, learning management system. And from the learning management system project came, because unlike the video conferencing, which was more hardware, this was a little bit more software. That I said I would pick it up, and the board said, yeah, this is the right person to do it. So that got into me, and then the rest is like, we went deep into the curriculum. Like we took out the outcomes, we looked at how the syllabuses were being taught, we looked at what were the assessment methods, we looked at a lot of different things. So that is when we started assessing and we started measuring syllabi and working with faculty to improve them. So every semester there were improvements in the syllabus, and so that led us onto a total different journey of improving syllabus, measuring outcomes. Are the classes really running fine? Adding checkpoints to the syllabus, you know, and identifying what question maps to what outcome. And that took us on a different trajectory into getting the content done. After which is when the real work started. So when we started presenting this, so ADEC was just being formed, the Abu Dhabi Education Council, in 2008, 2009. HDA was formed in 2010. When these regulatory compliance bodies looked at the way that we were assessing and measuring syllabi, they said, yeah, that's a very good. And we were almost on par with what was happening at the US. and we started having program level outcomes. We started having university measurement tools, because when a university says they want to measure leaders or they want to measure innovators, how is that being measured? Is that during a course? Is that done as a portfolio? Is that done at a program level? We started getting into a lot more technical details, which was quite good for us because that was at the right point that we did this. And things were all going good. Abu Dhabi University was going fantastically well when they decided after a certain point you require somebody with a PhD to head the department, and a master's degree from US was not. And that is
Hmm.
when I thought, yeah, in education, if you were to continue, you would require a PhD. And so that called me to come closer back to my family. So I got an offer from American University in Dubai. It was in the quality department, was a senior role, but I did it along with enrolling for a PhD. So that helped me
Okay.
gain the position, and that took me to Dubai and to one step closer to where I am currently in my journey. So that was a good move.
Okay. Okay. And then, so you moved to Dubai. You enrolled with American University. So you started your PhD and you started a job in American University here, right?
Yes, yes. So that was another step. So this was focused mainly on quality. So in this educational terms, they had given it a different term called institutional effectiveness. So they call that as a department which is the heart of the, like you have the heart for the body, that would be the heart of the university. So they work very closely with all the regulatory bodies, so whether it's HD, by Ministry of Education in terms of local accreditation. And they had just embarked on a AASCB for their business school, and an ABET accreditation for their engineering school. So we were all the people who would vet and see the data being collected, the data being tabulated, the data being presented, and the data being questioned, or we were responsible for the data. So that was a very, very senior role, which really was a good learning experience and a good learning curve for all of us in the department. So we were around four of us, but each of them, so some of them were responsible for the data collection, and we had a separate team for data analysis. I was in the reporting and the presentation team, which was supposed to meet the ministry delegates and meet external review teams as and when they came. It was a very, very senior role. So our basic role was to basically look into some terminologies like student retention, faculty research ratio, student to faculty ratio, international research work being done, what were the kind of faculty collaborations, international collaborations being done. So we need to come up with some indicators, not at a local UAE level. So we always pitched it at a much, much higher level, and that really gained a lot of prominence for us. And we try to work on international and uh, regional collaborations across GCC and across. So, like I said, for all of us who were involved in this, we were one of the pioneers in this game. So, in this whole institutional effectiveness, which is now around 18, 19 years old in UAE, we were one of the first who embraced it and got to know that these quality standards should remain if we are looking at it in the long run.
Okay. And so, Dr. Sujit, when you at this point you were still working as an employee with American University, when did you decide to launch your own business of the accurate consultancy that we spoke about?
Oh yeah, okay, that's a good one. So American University was doing good. Like I said, it was a lot of work and a lot of things, and we were getting to be known in the academic field. So there were a couple of universities in Abu Dhabi. There was a very well-known branded university in Dubai, and a couple of them in Ajman and in Fujairah, who were trying to come on to the same international pedestal with new programs. So that was an era where master programs were being launched in the UAE because KHT ADEC had just been formed. So bachelor degrees were all under vetting and scrutiny, and they were having external review teams doing that. So we were getting a lot of inquiries. So at one point of time, it came to a point that you have to do it. So you are the responsible person, and we trust you. And I think I did a couple of projects on a consultation basis, saying I would be able to do only this part of the job. Because the whole job requires you to define the program, write the syllabi, map the outcomes, do the proper process mapping, do the feasibility study, market research, find out the financial plan, get the technology resources, library resources, and research and community engagement, and a lot of stuff. So it really required a team. So first I used to do it as a part time. So I used to take out bits and pieces as to what I could manage within my time. Did well, couple of projects. A couple of them came back and said, if you cannot take the entire project, don't do it, because this bits and pieces thing is not working. We need somebody to be responsible. When something goes wrong, we need to ask one person. So here is that you have 10 people doing 10 things and nobody really takes ownership. That doesn't help. And that really cost me, and I couldn't do that being a full-time employee at a very, very leading university in a very senior role. In 2013, I think, as luck and destiny would have handed, I think Accurate had to be born Accurate. So Accurate started, and one of the big universities, which is there in Dubai, was one of the initiators for this entire project. They came in with their MBA program. They wanted it mapped to a country which they where their students could continue. So we did a lot of mapping with them, international collaboration, bringing them to the country. We did a lot of work with their trade relations. Once all that basic foundation was done, we wrote curriculums, we brought in subject matter experts in areas of leadership, innovation, and that was happening parallelly. Then we had a university that was just coming out of the Abu Dhabi Emirate into Dubai, so it was a new, fresh university being formed. They said everything to do with KHDA, everything to do with MOE, and they wanted to establish first two schools: School of Business, School of IT. Again, IT is my forte, business is my management degree. Again, so we took that up, and then we started diversifying. So not everything is IT and business, right? But then a university in Ajman came up with something in pharmacy. Then a university in Fujairah came up with media, and then we got a good client in Abu Dhabi who was into hospitality. So then, as learning would have had it, and like I clearly said, for me, when things are different, reading it, understanding it, putting that into practice, so that's a different genre. So I got into them. That became exciting, and then became schools. Then that became nurseries. Then setting up training institutes, language centers, professional and engineering technical centers. So yeah, so we did a lot of area into that. At parallelly, during when this was all going, stakeholder driven, investor driven, dean driven, because you needed one principal person who would have the idea. A similar concept came in the B2C space. So when we started talking to universities, we wanted to have collaborations with them. They are like, yes, you're setting this up over here. You are tying us up with a local university. But local university is not going to, work a lot for us, right? They won't do research for us. They're not going to have full-time students who study 4 years with us. Maybe they come for us for a study program. You want faculty exchange. You want research exchange. These are not long-term, right? Why don't you do something more, represent us in the region? Then came again a group of universities, firstly from Canada and New Zealand. They were our preferred choice because of PR and all the other reasons. And now we proudly say we send around 150 students to each of these universities with whom we started with. And now we can proudly say, after 8 or 9 years of consistent service, that all the 8 universities in New Zealand work with us. They're quite happy with our service. And we have grown. And in Canada, out of the 200, we work with around 80, 85 universities. And we have around premium 10 to 12 universities in the US and UK. Primarily, it's because what the student wants, and then their, employment and all that ratio really depends on where the student wants to go. So getting a contract with any university for us after this long years of experience is not a problem, but we are very selective in the kind of students and the universities we work with. So over this period, now we have realized that we have become very student centric and knowledge centric, and we work in terms of getting scholarships for students. Even when there are collaborations between a university in UAE and a university abroad, we try to ensure that it works for both parties. We try to make it a handshake where both parties are willing to support one another and both of them benefit out of the whole relation. So it's been a good long journey for us, and again is a new. So now we have new programs coming out. So we have had one university that says it can do masters and PhD in yoga, and we go all the way to the other extreme where it's very, very scientific, and we have masters and PhD in data analytics and artificial intelligence. So that is the wide range of range of disciplines we work with. Entry requirements are different. They have different student requirements, different exam requirements, different CGPA requirements. So learning new things always has been my passion, and it still continues.
Yeah. So under Accurate Consultancy, it looks like you have, on one hand, you have the universities that you serve by creating curriculums for them, creating the syllabi for them. And then you have, on the other hand, the students and the parents whom you connect with by helping them to get on to the universities that you have affiliation with, that you're, globally you have connections with different universities, and you're helping the students get on to those universities, right?
Correct, correct. So what happens is that as we speak, again for confidentiality reasons, so there's a top world school which is based in India, which is in the space of filmmaking and animation and into Bollywood script writing and does that entire work from art, movie, music, editing. So that school wants to set up here, and they've been in discussions with us now for 6 months. So we are trying to understand whether it is good to have it as a branch campus, or should we be having an independent campus here where they can work with the Vancouver Film School, London School of Music, with the Paris School of Art, and bring an international flavor into Dubai, or would they be better being standing alone? So we sit with the investors, we look at each of these business models, we throw different ideas, we find out what works for them financially, what will work for them legally, what will work for them academically, right? So that's a long process. It takes some time, but like I said, once the foundation is clear and the car is ready, driving it is easy. We spend a
Yeah.
lot of time in brainstorming, understanding the kind of collaborations they want, understanding the investor, investment model, return of investment, all that academic model. Once the car, so it takes time to build the car, right? So that's what we always say. So it takes time, but get the car and the make and the seat, all that perfect. After that, driving it will be easy. So that we look at, people come and they come through referral of mouth. They know the quality that we provide, and they come to us based on our past references, or when professors move from one university or college to another, we get automatically leads. So that works on a self-referral mode. No
Mm.
kind of marketing and Instagram and Facebook or LinkedIn will bring such kind of leads. They come on trust, and that we have taken around a decade to build. So that comes on its own. Yeah, so coming back to our G-links International, which is a more consumer-centric brand, we do a lot of trade shows. We work with a lot of schools. We conduct school fairs. We conduct a lot of university-centric seminars, study abroad programs, because it's about educating parents and children on where they want to go. So how that basically differentiates from the others is because that is more mass. So when we go into a school with over 300 kids, it's about giving them the information as a capsule. People have a very low attention span, so we need to condense everything, which is about understanding what the child wants and what the parent wants and what is the budget on hand and where do they want to go. So all this entire process, we have to do it in half an hour to 40 minutes. Otherwise the 300 students get very agitated. So we try to do very very focused 20 minutes, 30 minutes sessions, and then we have breakout rooms wherein they come in and discuss their career counseling issues, whether they're going through any personal issues, personal challenges, addiction issues, mobile and language, or they're going through some problems. We understand that. Then we have a separate session with parents to understand what is their country of choice, and what is the budget that they have for their kid, and is it something that they would want to compromise, and then get everything together to a final stage wherein we decide, based on all this, I think these are the two, three, or four choices which should be considered. So that is our approach, and that is the way we work with parents and children. Although it is quite mass, it can be quite challenging.
So this is G-links International.
Yes.
Okay, so Dr. Sujith will, we've spoken about Accurate Consultancy and G-links International here, your companies, and before we move on to the other ventures that you're doing, I'd like to touch upon the personal finance aspect here for a moment, because this is a transition that you made when having worked. You were working for a big university, a big job, right? A very senior position, is a very responsible job. And at that level, when you decide to quit your job and move into consultancy and become a freelancer, there is a bit of financial disruption as well, personally, right? Because you're not going to get the big salary anymore, but you're working as a freelancer. So how was it challenging, first of all, and if it was, then how did you manage that aspect?
So for me, like I told you, I had done a couple of them, which was on a consulting basis, without keeping, like you said, the salary intact and without really disturbing the monthly fabric. It was going good. But then what happened was that as an individual, you were taking lesser part when there was an entire big cake to be eaten. You're taking a very very small slice, and then you're getting called upon by the client saying you're not responsible for the cake. The taste is not good. It didn't come out as well as I wanted, and you are having a part of it, but it's not what I wanted. When that started happening, I think to a couple of cases, and when this really big person came up to me and said, if not you, we're not doing the project. We want you full time. We're not going to give this like what you did. We heard what happened on the other case, and you did only this part, and the other guys goofed up, and the project got delayed and all that. So if you are on for it, we will do it. Then again, I was in a double dilemma whether it can be done. But I think couple of clients who came to me first, as God would have had it, were people who trusted in us, who trusted in this entire concept, gave us a lot of support during those initial phases, whether it was in terms of advance payment, because what we submit are documents, and documents are submitted, whether it's feasibility study, market research, curriculum. Sometimes it's advances to be paid to international experts, who would review it, give their comments, whatever it be. So those people really understood the challenges that initial entrepreneurs would have, and they supported us in that journey. So you should thank the mentality of investors and stakeholders in UAE. They understand that doing business calls for a certain amount of seriousness, and that, thank God, we met the right people here. So for me, initially, yes, it was risky, could be a component that if you would term it, but then it was all calculated risk. Wherever we had expected things would happen came into around 80%, 85% on task. But yeah, there were some goers here and there. But then as innovators, we keep adding more to the plate, right? When you find that universities are drying out, you move to schools. When schools and things are getting tough, you move to nurseries. And that doesn't happen, you move to training institutes. When that entire stakeholder phase or the number of owners are very limited pocket thing, another door opens which says there are n number of customers, all the parents, everybody who's so when we started with a university in Canada. It's one of the best for engineering or undergraduate program, because the maximum number of seats are there for undergraduate. So it started like that, and then as we would have had it, we went both ways. So we started taking masters and PhD students to add it to that league, and we also went backwards and we started taking boarding schools right from grade 8. So we went up and down both the levels, but we were targeting boarding schools in and around UK, US, and we were talking masters and PhD students mainly in UK, Europe, Canada, New Zealand. So yeah, so we went both directions, and then, as they say, entrepreneurship is a journey which teaches you to take different roads. Some roads can be right for you, but you need to, even in those roads, know how to navigate and move at what speed so that you arrive at your destination safe. So for me, it has been a bumpy road. I can't say it has been a straight, smooth drive, but it gives you a lot of freedom, gives you, to do what you want, right? And you have your own space around, and your experience to guide you in the right direction. So yeah, God has been kind, God has been great, and yeah, thanks to blessings of all our parents and well wishers, teachers, who always guided us and always taught us to do things right. We somehow navigated through them, and now we are where we are today. So can't complain.
Yeah. And so here you have also, in the beginning we mentioned about Neostats, right? So you also have another company called Neostats. So is that completely your venture, or have you partnered with other people? And tell us about
Oh yeah.
that journey.
So like I said, I did my masters in MIS and my PhD was in quality. So both of them basics is data, right? So a few of my college mates, we met back just before COVID, and we said that this data space is growing and we should be doing something. And he took the risk. So my college mate, his name is Gino. So he went ahead and he said that we would need to bring in old practices that we do, but we will do it statistically. So let's call it Neostats, and that's how the name evolved, and we started building that. And that is a total AI platform, and it has two partners, and we have on the board the people who have been ex-bankers. One of them is in Singapore, one of them is in the US, and we look at a lot of uh, AI driven systems and processes in order to work. So that was the base. And the way that we positioned this a particular company was that we would not um, call ourselves the BCGs or the KPMGs who will tell you what to be done. They'll give you a roadmap and a strategy. Or we will not be a Wipro or a TCS that tells us, give us a business spec document. I've got programmers, we will deliver the software you want. So we wanted to close both those loops, and we wanted to come in between because the people who were behind the project were bankers. So they knew the banking system, and they knew that all these different systems talking to one another had large amount of gaps. So that's when that project really came in. But then data and AI, as it is today, and after COVID, we have realized that data is the king. Before customer used to be the king, and now data on how to use data is the main factor on how you want to position yourself with your customer. So that now we have taken that to a level higher. We've got a good development team back home in India, and from here we have got subject matter specialists. So whether that be in the space of healthcare, or whether it be in the space of banking, or in the case of right now we are coming up with a product that's in the retail and the healthcare space. So in this healthcare project came up as a very unique concept. And we found a partner who told us that they needed some analytic tools from us, and this was the idea. So the idea was that with an automatic face recognition, because a lot of these instrumentation and the laboratory companies were looking a lot of physical intervention and a lot of blood testing and to understand things. So can we do it in a kind of non-intrusive manner without really affecting? So we came up with this face recognition idea. So the idea was the pupil, the eye, and we looked at the pupil and the cornea and how what all indicators can it give us. So what which is methodologically and scientifically proven, and we came up with some 6 7 factors which were quite good. So we started with sleep. We started with stress. With the blood flow, we could identify sugar, and we could identify the BP, the blood pressure, and there were some indicators which were scientifically linked to them. And with them, what is the use? So we found out some more data can come as helpful from the Samsung Fit and the Apple Watch and the mobiles without intrusion. So our whole concept of Prana Connect as a product that we call it. So Prana Connect would be a product which would be a non-intrusive AI tool which can guide you to live healthy and to be healthy. So without going too much to doctors, without having too much of dependence on external people, can you live healthy on your own? So then that required 5 other parameters. It required a medical on call. Suppose something is shooting up, could be BP, could be your blood pressure or whatever. Whom do you go to? So we have an on call doctor. Then we have an on call mental health. So sometimes people go through again a lot of challenges and stress at work, personal life, and in other personal financial challenges as well. So that's one area. Third was eat well, breathe right. So that is very important. Your diet and your nutrition is very important. How should that be? And then how will you exercise? So we have a gym and a wellness specialist who takes care of your wellness programs and your exercise programs. And lastly, we have somebody who takes care of your lifestyle diseases, back pains. You've got all these ulcers and all these which have happened due to a bad lifestyle, and that could require maybe not just English medicines, a mixture of Ayurveda and homeopathy and all that. So that's another alternative medicine route. So these people are available on call. They are not a part of the package. They are not AI driven. So they are available on call, and based on the results of the Prana Connect app, these specialists will come and give more advice based on that same data. So again, it doesn't require 1 hour consultation because the data is already there with the doctor. Doctor decides everything, so it's more quicker consultation, and you save more money. And this data just doesn't collect over a day, or a week. They get monthly data, and if you have the Emirates ID and other details, you can get hereditary data. All that data is analyzed by the AI app, comes into a very customer focused, doctor centric dashboard, and the doctor can make quick decisions on way the water levels have been fluctuating, or BP has been fluctuating, or sugar levels have been fluctuating, sleep patterns, stress levels. Whatever is measured from the app is given to them in a more detail. But then doctor always can tell them, go do this test or that test. All that doctor consultation, laboratory charges are all extra, which requires personal intervention. So we leave that there. Not everything in life can be automated. We realized that.
So, so Dr. Sujit, in this is a an advanced program in itself that you've created, like and you have collaboration with the doctors here, right? There is another aspect to this that I want to touch upon, and without revealing any trade secrets, what can you tell us about the process of this, of developing something like this to at this scale? You started with the idea. From an idea to having the app in hand, what was that process like for you in your case?
Oh, that's a very, very long challenge. So that has been, like I said, a 4 5 year old journey. And the technology and our initial trouble was that yes, this idea came to us, which was non-intrusive, and we didn't want to depend a lot on laboratory data and doctor and hospital data. Where else can we get this data and take it out to the end user? And now that mobile is being very popular, it has to be an app. So that was the idea. I think coming up with the idea and streaming the idea itself took around 6 to 8 months. It was all during COVID. Thanks to COVID, we were all sitting at home. We had all this free time and wellness, and everybody is doing yoga at 5 a.m. Somebody has laughter yoga at 2 p.m. And so it gives us a lot of free time to sit back and analyze as to what are the important things and where is this really leading to. Then the next challenge, as you rightly mentioned, was finding the app developer, because we had some set of programmers whom we had bought in for the banking API app, and they were quite busy with that, and they had no idea about how all this wellness app and tracking that would all work. So luckily, we got in an advisory board. So the people on this understood that this would be a product which would not be of good value to hospitals, because we are telling them all the ways to keep a doctor away, unless you're taking a doctor on call, or then ideally if you live healthy and you be healthy, you're being away from a hospital. So who would be the ideal people who could be behind this? And that's when the concept struck us that it has to be insurance. The insurance companies would really love this project, because their claims and their claims to what they had to pay, the ratio would come down if people are all healthy and they're paying good premiums, but the hospital bills are low. So I said insurance, so that's the people. So that was the second part for the jigsaw puzzle. So once we got these two together, we started talking to a few ICICI Prudential, Max, because that's where volume lies. India is where that market is. And I think after COVID, we opened up all that charter discussions with them without giving out too much idea on how the app would work. We like told them this is the app, we want to come up with something, and we told them, to them it was a website, right? It would be a website where we would track all the data and keep customers healthy, but we'll show you that the data works, right? Only then you can do. So with them, that idea also worked, so they came on the board. Then we had to find a technology company, which is a mobile app technology company, which would develop this, collect data and then get this from the eye. So for that, it took almost a year to identify that particular company which had the expertise to do this, and how they would work with us as a partner, because the idea was that as customers grow, the company would grow, and if companies grow, you would also grow as a technology company. So they then decided that they will invest a part of the equity into the company as a development team, and we were able to negotiate with them very good at 20%. They invested a bit of their time, and they used to rewrite code to what they already were doing, and they did a lot of research work on how data from the eye and what is non-intrusive data can all be collected. So at the first few months, it was all eye and eye related study and pupil and cornea and that related work. But then when then and then get whether that result and mapping was correct. So we needed a real sample data as well. So you're saying that that pupil person at that particular time sugar level is this. Is that what it is? So we had to take acupuncture. So we did a bit of systematic study. So that was the whole period of 2021. We did a lot of research work there and got that ready. That then the app, we tuned the app, and 2022 was a phase when that went quite well. And then we came to a period wherein we said that we would need to integrate with a lot of system providers. Like, for example, we would have to work with Apple Fit, Apple Watch, and then there were so many. When we looked at the number of smartwatches in town, there were a lot of. We can't work with everybody because each one's API is different. So as we said, let's go with Samsung and Apple. That's the most famous. But then some company or some community is asking for a certain thing, then we would develop that API and work with that on a separate level. So that was the that was some challenges that we faced. But like we said, the app is now in its final B2C rollout phase. So what we have done in 2023 we wanted to introduce it to a few CEOs of big companies. So we targeted the head of retail at Alphabet. We talked to one of the leading IT company sales directors, and we talked to a pharma company. So we have got around 20, 30 people. We got them into a room and we told them about the concept. We still didn't introduce the app because it was still under testing and installation and stuff like that. We told them, what if we were able to get all this at around close to $25 or $20 to $25 would be the charge if you were to pay, and you would be able to get all this. So the web version of that was more or less ready. So we showed them
Mm.
that, measured all that on real, and we showed them, and it was a 3-day retreat package. So we made them stay at a very good resort, and it was during the Eid weekend that just happened during April. So we got them there, and they spent 3 days there, and we took all these variations and we showed them what if this was available to you and to your employees 365 days. You knew what was the blood pressure, you know what is the water being drunk, you know what is the food that was taken, you know whether what was the health issues. So basically, how this particular app works is that once you identify the blood pressure and once you identify the health of the particular person, we can basically identify and see what is it that the CEOs and their companies would be able to do for all their employees. So it would be kind of a CEO retreat. So CEO retreat
Mm.
where all the big CEOs of manufacturing, insurance, and all these sectors would come, and they would basically be able to get all their medical and all their health related data on their fingertips. So
Got
how
it.
would that work for them? So that some of them have realized, given us very good feedback. Again, some iteration points what we could work on, and now that would be a very B2C model which we would be able to employ for all their employees at a very very affordable rate. And the
Yeah.
thing is that that would be a dashboard where the health can, the HR manager, or we can have a health or wellness or counseling specialist or somebody in the organization for big manufacturing companies and stuff like that, who would know what is the health condition of each of their employees and that their desk, and it's a very very nominal rate, how much they walk, do they even exercise, how well do they sleep, how much water do they drink, what is the kind of diet they follow. So some kind of data is available to the entire organization at a single dashboard.
Brilliant, brilliant. And I love the idea that you have a product that is B2C, but rather than going to the masses, what you've decided that you went to the top influencers, which is the CEOs and the leaders of the organizations. Because once you have them on board, then the entire organization is on board because then
Correct.
they
That happened because of two reasons. One, like I said, the product in its final phase. It's being entering its fourth year. So it's in a very very final deployment mass mode state. So before that really goes out, the concept has to go to a few. Now the concept like this, when it's not finished, will only be understood by an entrepreneur who knows the difficulty in getting a product done in 3 years. So somebody who understands that process cannot be a lame employee. If you talk to a front desk receptionist and tell them there is a concept like this and it took 3 years for them, is it working, not working? That is their mentality. So we said, no, these are not the people to whom you can influence and they cannot make any change in the organizations. So if this has to be proven as a concept, let's work with real data, show them how that is on an intrusive mode, taking BP and blood pressure on a regular 3 hour or a 4 hour interval and putting that and storing it and all that. And that is a real hard way, and we had gotten some employees who would do that. They would go to their rooms and take their BP, and with the acupuncture machine take their blood, and so that was the entire process. So they did this around 3 times a day, and then the sleep they had to tell us, they had to monitorly record, and then we showed them a kind of prototype. What you did now over 3 days, what if there is a tool that can automate this entire process without any intervention? You sit in your office and this data is there populated. There are nobody comes to your office and takes your BP. Nobody comes and takes your sugar. Nobody measures your water. Nobody comes and measures how many steps you walk. All this is done on a non-intrusive process. And when that came to the culmination day, because this we did it for 3 days, and at the third day half, when almost they had done it 6, 7, or 9 times, we told them that now it's going to be intrusive. This is the surprise package. So we have got something for you, which we wanted to introduce to you, and this is the highlight of the entire thing. And when that was done, the kind of response we got back from people was really good.
Mm.
They really loved the idea, and some of them were from the software space, some of them were from the manufacturing space, some of them were from the retail space, some of them were from the other spaces. So they all understood and respected the idea that this is innovative.
So, and that was a very nice way of putting it. And I mean, I can imagine if I were if I was there in the audience, also, I would have also loved it in the way that you've put it there. So, Dr. Sujit, like looking at the different companies that you've started and the kind of journey that you've had here, right? You've experienced all of these. You've experienced being in the education industry. You've experienced working with B2C, B2B, and you've had a wide range of exposure here. With all of this, what would be your advice to somebody who's just getting started, people who are in a job right now and they want to start their own business, or people who have just started their own business? What's your advice to them?
Actually, I think when somebody comes up with an idea or wants to start a business or is into the business, I think the planning, as they rightly say, on all the big coaches say, planning is 80%, execution is 20%. So it's about getting your model, getting your business plan, getting your 6 months cash flow statement, your 1 year cash flow plan, your 3 year operational plan, your 5 year strategic plan. These should be in place. Without them and without really testing the market and without really knowing whether the end user is receptible to your product, don't jump into something. Grow in phases. Have a kind of cash flow for 6 months to 1 year always as a backup. In some cases, you might want to work with partners. You might want to work with collaborative associates, and they might be like we did with the software company. They invested a bit. So if we were to hire our own teams and have our own set of programmers, and it would have cost us maybe 10 times more. So this is in analyzing that no, we are not going to be an IT company, and we don't want to be in the programming space. Rather, my IT company, which is doing something very different, would give us certain know-how over certain things to be done. But we need a healthcare focused company who knows the eye and can connect to smartwatch, and that's a different programming and computing expertise compared to what I have. So if you were to ask me, I think risks were calculated. We knew that that is not what those guys could do, and pulling them away, then you would have to pay them salaries on this front, which again would be taxing to us. But rather let them earn in the banking AI tool, which is working, and we have clients, and that's a systematic model. While this is going B2C, B2B when we do corporate wellness. And this can be implemented by telemedicine companies as a part of their package when they enroll new customers. And you can imagine how this would work with SBI Life or would work with ICICI when they take new insurance policies. Just take a mobile machine, and you can track whether this guy is doing well. And he comes there in the morning, comes again in the evening. You really know whether he has diabetes. 85%, 90% you can be sure. And if both the tests are giving you that he's diabetic and he has BP, you can tell him tomorrow I need a medical report. We both can go together. How would that help? And if that can be eliminated 1 in 10 times, and this comes when if that is really true, and if that if you are diabetic, if you cannot take, that would really help a lot for insurance companies, and also help people to take people to doctors whose BP is fluctuating, and that data is available to you on your fingertips. You can take action. I think it's going to be something both not in the B2C level, B2C, B2B level, and also at some corporates like telemedicine companies, insurance companies is are going to benefit a lot.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
now it has come to a stage where we need to develop different apps, because for Android is different, for iOS it's different. There are some new technologies, softwares, and looking at newer markets, forming associates there, having offices, marketing. And now it is that phase wherein we need to appoint franchisees and work with that. So that's in a different league that we have taken on. But yeah, as far as the product is concerned, it's the last lap of the 4 into 100 meters relay, and I think it's Hussein Bolt who's running it. So it's a matter of time when we finish the race. But then, yeah, once the race is done, the victory lap and identifying where all we need to celebrate it. So that's going to be a bigger challenge. But then, like we say, each challenge is an opportunity. We must
Absolutely.
we must face it, and we must grow with it, because that's what life teaches us, to face
Yeah,
all challenges and things with humility, and then see what can come out of
absolutely. Talking of challenges, Dr. Sujit, there are you've seen the being a salaried person as an employee, you've seen that life, and you've also seen being an entrepreneur. And one big difference of being an entrepreneur is that there is no weekend or there is no Saturday, Sundays. I mean, when in as an employee, people have like a work-life balance, and then they have the weekend to kind of rejuvenate. But as an entrepreneur, the life is different, right? There are constant challenges. And you're always on your toes. You're always in the business. 24/7. You're in the business. What's with all of this? What's your own way? What's Dr. Sujit's way of rejuvenating yourself? What's how do you recharge your battery?
All right, so that's a very very valid point. I think being an entrepreneur, you have nobody to blame but yourself, right? That's the first point you need to understand. So that might, as you rightly said, weekends might get spoiled. Like for example, the last weekend was a education exhibition, and Saturday Sunday is when it had to be. So your weekend is gone, right? So there are times when you are totally down and your friends are having the 3 day Eid holidays and you are back at work. So all that happens. So you have to be up and ready for it. But that comes with its own benefits. Like, you can make your own decisions. I think that is the best challenge. So when you think that you have learned the domain, you've got the expertise, and you've reached the level of maturity where you think your decision is right, and when you feel that your boss or your subordinates are blocking you from making the right decision, and that happens to you quite frequently in office, and lately they come back to that the same point maybe after a week or two, and that happens once or twice in your life, then that's a point when you realize that you are a better decision maker than these people, and they're not realizing that, and they're not promoting you in your company. And then you need to come up with a very good product, like I said, which can be scaled, which has a market reach, which can go to customers in a much better way. So that is that is the technical part of it, and like you said, that requires energy, that requires a lot of regeneration and lot of support. So my regeneration capsule is sports. So
Sports.
I do a lot of badminton twice a week. So we have a group of college friends who studied with me at NIT Calicut. I have a lot of friends who did my MBA together, with whom we worked in previous companies, alumni friends. I am in a part of a couple of other business network groups. So all of them have got sports things. And one thing that my current group is doing, it's a track challenge. So basically, we have to walk 10,000 steps a day. We have to drink around 3 liters of water, and it's about what diet you are able to maintain. So sugar, cakes, sweets, juices, they're off the list. And if you and it's like nobody's checking or nobody's monitoring all this. But then if you do that, call yourself a cheat and start that 60-day process again. So that's another good thing that has happened to us. So other than badminton, I play football once a week, and every Sunday morning I go for a jog. It's normally around Zabil Park, 2 rounds, which is around 8 kilometers. And one thing that I really like about Dubai, and then I think last 20 years I've told this before, I don't regret, is that all places are very easily accessible. So whether it
Yeah.
is going and meeting a friend for a weekend, and sometimes the badminton game then results in a cup of beer and then meeting at somebody's place. So Dubai in that way has become very joyful, and I try to correlate this to my other friends who are staying in Bangalore and in US. They stay maybe an hour or 30 minutes away from each other, but they have not met till we land up there. So a couple of times when we and our friends land up in Bangalore is when they say, Sujit has come, let's meet at this particular restaurant. And he's like, Macha, I've not seen you for 3 years. I've not seen you for 2 years. But in Dubai, we make a point that people that we are with, we meet them at least once a month, minimum.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes we meet them every week because we play badminton twice, and when we are short, we put it short of people, we put it in the other group. So so we do
Yeah.
regularly. I try to mix my business group with my alumni group with my study group with my employee groups. I've got 2 3 groups with which I try to balance this. And normally when we do badminton, we just randomly select a date. Mondays for football, so we do Wednesday or Sunday, or Wednesday and Saturday for badminton. We just decide a date. We see on Playo, yeah, this school is available 7 to 9 morning. So, anyway, nobody's life on a Saturday starts at 10 a.m. So 7 to 9 is a very, very peaceful time. And we've added a little more thing to this. So you come there and say you burn 100 calories. So we ensure that whether it's silicon oasis or alkus, you have a masala dosha and you make up for that 100 calories. So that way,
Actually, we do that. We also do the exact same thing. I mean, not every Saturday though. But talking of badminton and talking of mixing people, right? You should. Last when we spoke, I also mentioned that I run a badminton group as well. So you should come and join us sometimes. Saturday mornings at 5 to 7 we play. So come join us on a Saturday. And yes, we after our games we also do this. Like we just go out and have a breakfast and then
very good.
balance it
Five
out.
to 5 to 7 p.m. Where is it in Mirdif?
No. 5 to 7 a.m.
A.M.
Saturday early morning. Yes.
Interesting. That makes
Yes.
that makes it a little more challenging now. Okay. Okay. Where is it? Where is
Yes.
it normally held?
At the Greatway Umramul, Greatway Sports.
Yeah. Umrapur is not far from Mirdif.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. We should do
So we
that at
should.
least.
Yeah.
It's every Saturday. Okay. So I'll note that.
Every Saturday. So anytime. Yeah. Any Saturday when you're available. If you don't have a Friday night party, join us on Saturday.
Yeah. That is yeah. For those are less now. As we are getting older, I think parties are a little bit reducing. But I try to, there are a lot of birthday parties and a lot of these events that happen. But you at least try to attend one in a month.
Yeah.
So it's either friends, office colleagues, friends, alumni, yeah, something or the other, wedding, shadi, and in office, a lot of us we are from different communities. So last 2 weeks we celebrated Vishu. So I wore traditional dress, mundu, and we did distributed kheer, we distributed paisam to all the employees. Around 3 days before that was Baisakhi. So they came in with
Yeah.
jalebis and their separate food, and so the North Indian one. And then around 2 days later, I think their Tamil New Year came, and they made that very sweet, with rice. It's again a very good kheer combination. So I think yeah, they're, celebrating all cultures, and that just got over. We got into Eid, and we got to this exhibition hall and massive breakfast. So it was a buffet for breakfast, and it was Eid celebration. Though they had all these mithais and gulab jamuns. So I'm like, there is no celebration. So thank God I said in April I'm not dieting. So that was good. But yeah, so like you said, I think there has been a lot of celebrations. I think Dubai in that way we are really blessed that all cultures work together, different nationalities come together. We get to know of different nationality festivals. We get to know of different cultures and the way we celebrate. So yeah, overall I think
Yeah.
it's been a wonderful learning curve, and like they say, each day is still new learnings to be done, and that's one thing. So even after taking PhD or masters or something, I never stop learning, because like I said, we need to come up with a franchisee model on how this will go to different countries, and how does each country accept this, and what is the Apple share in that country. So there's still a lot to learn. You assume you have learned everything and you know everything, but then one day you realize you don't know anything. There's still a lot to learn. So that's what I think keeps human, yeah, inquisity alive. And I think we still all have a children's learning mind within you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that one aspect of keeping curious to learn looks like in your journey looks like that has been a constant factor all along. You always want to learn new things, explore new things, keep exploring. So it is an inspiration for everyone, Dr. Sujit.
Thank you,
So
sir. It's just been my passion. Like I said, like I told you, when I started my career, I did not like it monotonous, right? When they tell you do things and then 3 months you go back and do the same thing, and then the customer is not still very happy. So there is something really rudimentary wrong in the process. And like I said, I learned that 15 years later, if your management doesn't understand that particular process and doesn't value your opinion, I think it's time to find out where another company will respect that. Because if your qualities and your skills are not being recognized by your immediate bosses and your colleagues, then you don't have any value there, and you cannot keep adding to that stress, and then keep rechanging yourself, because you're not doing anything wrong, right? You're coming up with the right idea, you're giving them the right thing, and maybe 3 weeks later or 4 weeks later you come back to what you had suggested. So then what value addition did that 1 month do to your life? So at some points in that, I think combined with a little more financial and skill based things will always make you improve and will always develop your career. So keep learning. Never say you're done.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Sujit. And on that note, we'll conclude here. Dr. Sujit, thank you so much for taking out time and sharing your journey and the nuggets of wisdom with us. It has been such a wonderful conversation. I'm sure I have learned a lot during this conversation. I'm sure the audience have learned as well. Thanks for sharing that knowledge with us.
It's always been my pleasure. It's wonderful to have you as a host. And I pray and I hope that this show really continues and you continue to learn and you keep the learning chirag within you alive and that you continue to be the best in what you are. All the best to you. And I think we should stay in touch and we will continue this journey wherever we can, whether it's in badminton or in some other groups where we can contribute and wishing you all the very best and wishing you the best in life. Thank you so much, Sachin. God
Thank you.
bless you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sujit. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that was Dr. Sujith Menon, the serial entrepreneur, the founder of Accurate Consultancy, G-links International, and Neostats. And you've been watching and listening to Be Your Own Boss.